Welcome to Terraverse TV. The place where science meets discovery, history meets mystery, and every explainer takes you deeper into the incredible forces that have shaped our planet for billions of years. So let's just dive right into this. Today, we're uncovering the story of a force so incredibly ordinary that, honestly, most of us never even stop to think about it. It falls gently from the sky, it flows quietly through our rivers, and it fills the oceans that it truly transforms the Earth. One drop, one river, one flood at a time. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought. The next time you look out your window and watch a simple rainstorm fall from the sky, ask yourself, what hidden world is it starting to build or perhaps destroy directly beneath your feet? Because you are witnessing one of the most cover the vast majority of our world. But here's the catch. This exact same familiar force has carved massive mountains, it's created enormous subterranean caves, built breathtaking canyons, and literally transformed the face of the Earth itself. That force, of course, is the sheer power of water.
So how exactly does something so soft carve mountains? At first glance, water seems incredibly calm, right? Think of a peaceful river, a gentle rainfall, or just quiet waves rolling onto a beach. Nothing about that looks dangerous or powerful. But appearances can be deeply deceiving. Every single drop of water carries the sheer power to change the Earth. Now, obviously, this doesn't happen overnight. This is a story of thousands, millions, even billions of years. Long before humans ever walked this planet, water was acting as Earth's patient architect, carving deep valleys where mountains once stood, and digging massive canyons straight through solid rock.
Section 1. The water cycle and weathering. Powered entirely by the energy of the sun, the water cycle is exactly where all this water comes from and how it moves. Water rises from oceans, lakes, and rivers through evaporation. It becomes this invisible vapor, travels through the atmosphere, condenses to form clouds, and then returns to Earth as precipitation, rain or snow. From there, some of it flows into rivers, some disappears underground, and some freezes into glaciers during the collection phase. And eventually, every single drop begins the journey all over again. It's this perfect, never-ending loop that guarantees water is constantly moving and, more importantly, constantly working.
The absolutely crucial point here is that this endless movement does far more than just shift water around the globe. It slowly transforms the landscape itself. Scientists call the first stage of this transformation weathering. It's the extremely slow process of breaking down rock over thousands, millions, or even billions of years. At first, nothing seems to happen at all. A towering mountain looks exactly the same. A cliff appears completely unchanged. But year after year, tiny invisible changes begin to add up. Given enough time, even the strongest rock on Earth begins to surrender to our patient architect.
What's truly fascinating is a specific type of breakdown called chemical weathering. You see, rainwater might seem perfectly pure, but it actually contains tiny amounts of natural acids. As this slightly acidic water seeps into certain types of stone, like limestone, it slowly dissolves the rock. It doesn't do this with giant explosions or massive earthquakes, but with unbelievable patience, one drop after another for thousands of years. And eventually, tiny cracks become tunnels, tunnels become giant caves, and those caves grow into breathtaking underground worlds filled with towering chambers and hidden rivers.
But water doesn't just rely on chemistry. It also uses brute physical force. We call this physical weathering. During the day, water seeps deep into the tiny cracks of a rock face. When night falls and temperatures drop below freezing, that water turns into ice. And as that ice expands, it pushes against the surrounding rock with enormous, unrelenting pressure. Winter after winter, the cracks grow wider, small fragments break away, and eventually entire sections of mountains can just collapse. Nature doesn't always need massive explosions. Sometimes, literally all it needs is water and time.
Section 2. Erosion and rivers in motion. Once broken down, fast-flowing rivers carry millions of tiny pieces of rock, which we call sediment. Now, a single grain of sand or rock is practically weightless, sure, but together, they become one of nature's greatest tools. They act exactly like giant sheets of liquid sandpaper, constantly grinding against the landscape. They cut deeper, wider, and farther. Over countless centuries, this relentless grinding transforms narrow, ordinary valleys into massive dramatic canyons and rocky cliffs into winding riverbanks.
And as they carve these paths, rivers themselves are always changing. They rarely travel in a perfectly straight line. Instead, they twist, curve, and gracefully form meanders across the landscape. With every single flood, every storm, and every passing year, the river shifts just a little bit more. Sometimes a river will abandon its old path completely,
leaving behind these beautiful, isolated, crescent-shaped lakes. It really shows us that rivers have a living, breathing life of their own.
Section 3. Groundwater and sinkholes.
So we've seen what water can do up here on the surface, but beneath every forest, every mountain, and yes, beneath every city lies a completely hidden world. There is a silent, invisible reservoir constantly at work directly beneath our feet, reshaping the earth from below while we go about our daily lives completely unaware.
We call this hidden force groundwater. It's water moving silently through tiny microscopic spaces inside rock and soil. Now, this groundwater is absolutely vital. It feeds springs, it supplies our rivers during the dry seasons, and it supports millions of people every single day. Yet, despite remaining completely hidden from view, this groundwater never stops dissolving the rock it touches, slowly reshaping the planet from the inside out.
And that slow dissolving? Well, it leads to something far more dangerous. As groundwater creates empty chambers over years or even centuries, the surface above appears perfectly normal. Until, suddenly, it doesn't. Without any warning whatsoever, the ground suddenly collapses. These are sinkholes. In a matter of seconds, roads can disappear, fields can vanish, and entire buildings can literally be swallowed whole. It is a dramatic, real-time reminder that years of hidden erosion can result in sudden, catastrophic events right beneath us.
Section 4. The geological mystery of the Channeled Scablands. But sinkholes are really only a small glimpse of water's true destructive power. If you travel to the eastern part of Washington state, you'll discover one of the strangest, most bizarre landscapes on our entire planet. We're talking towering cliffs, gigantic dry waterfalls, deep rocky channels, and endless barren plains. It looks as though an unimaginable force ripped across the Earth in a single violent event. For over a century, scientists were completely puzzled. No ordinary river was powerful enough to carve valleys this enormous. The cliffs were just too massive. So what unimaginably powerful force could transform a landscape in days instead of millions of years?
This is an incredible underdog story in the world of geology. In 1909, a determined geologist named Harlan Bretz set out to solve this mystery. He examined the cliffs and canyons and came to one unbelievable conclusion. A great megaflood, a gigantic event unlike anything in recorded human history, had carved the region. Well, when Bretz presented his theory, the scientific community literally laughed at him. They firmly believed rivers could only shape the Earth slowly over millions of years, but Bretz refused to give up. Decades later, another geologist, J.T. Pardee, discovered the missing puzzle piece, an ancient, massive lake that had been trapped behind a gigantic wall of ice in Montana. Bretz's impossible truth was finally validated. The turning point was the collapse of that ice dam. Without warning, this frozen barrier failed, and billions of tons of water exploded across the landscape. This wasn't a slow trickle, folks. This flood raced faster than a speeding train. It possessed terrifying speed and power, ripping apart entire forests, carrying enormous boulders for miles, stripping away all the soil, and carving deep channels directly into solid volcanic rock. In only a matter of days, nature accomplished what normally takes millions of years. And as scientists dug deeper, they uncovered an astonishing surprise. This violent disaster didn't just happen once. Evidence suggests there were at least 80 megafloods that swept across the region during different ice ages. Each flood carved a little deeper, making the landscape even more extraordinary.
Section 5. Landslides and modern flood protection.
Even today, our living planet is continually threatened by sudden, violent water events. Heavy rainfall can severely weaken mountain slopes, and rapid snowmelt can completely saturate the ground. When gravity finally takes over, entire hillsides can collapse without warning in what we call landslides. Within mere seconds, roads disappear, homes are buried, and rivers can completely change their direction. It goes to show us that water's power to destroy is still very, very active today. But fortunately, modern science helps us prepare and protect our communities. Using advanced tools like satellite and radar monitoring, along with comprehensive geological surveys, scientists can actually identify these dangerous areas before a disaster strikes. We build early warning systems, protective dams, and flood channels. We are literally designing smarter cities to live safely alongside water rather than foolishly trying to fight against it.
Section 6. Water, Earth's greatest sculptor.
From tiny raindrops to catastrophic floods, we've really seen it all today. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to remember water's immense dual nature. It is both a patient creator and a violent destroyer.
It creates, it destroys, it shapes, and it absolutely never stops working. Every river you cross, every breathtaking cave you explore, and every magnificent mountain valley you admire exists because water has been relentlessly, patiently sculpting our world for billions of years.
Powerful geological forces in the history of our living planet. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this journey, please like, share, and subscribe to Terraverse TV for more incredible explorations into the mysteries of our universe. See you in the next explainer.